Welcome back, everyone, to another reaction. We are here today to watch the penultimate, the 5th episode of Obi-Wan Kenobi. I'm Nicholas, joined today by Mike. What's up, man?
What up?
Liking the show so far. We had a lot of, probably of any Marvel / Star Wars stuff, this is one of the ones I was really, kind of waiting to see.
Yeah, I like it.
Let's go on into it. 3, 2, 1, play. That was a pretty good scene as he slowly like when he was using a saber to deflect the blaster bolts, he slowly was like figuring out how to aim it again. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Back on Coruscant. Oh, what? What? Oh, this is cool.
Could have de-aged him a little bit.
Could, I was just thinking they should have probably de-aged him a little bit. Oh, so it's Vader having the flashbacks.
The tracker worked. He's arriving on Jabim as we speak.
Grand Inquisitor.
Ooh.
Oh man, people will be so upset. Obviously, the other guy's not dead, and he'll be back.
Right. If anything, she's going to be dead at the end of this series. Yeah.
I think Vader might know that she killed him or attacked the other one, but
right.
I don't think the other Inquisitor knows.
But now I know what it feels like being a real Jedi.
Mm-hmm.
It's not easy. This place is a good business opportunity, though.
Lock down the facility. It is not them we need to break.
He's only interested in Obi-Wan. You'd think you'd at least programmed it with, like, not red eyes, not to give anybody a hint or something. You know, I don't know.
They're really bad at surveillance overall. As an oppressive state, they're really bad at it. They just send those giant probe droids instead of just having cameras everywhere.
Look off, fucking lights.
What the hell?
We surrender, he'll kill us all.
He'll attack next. He hasn't the patience for siege. How do you know?
Oh, he knows.
That's a hell of a way to spar with live lightsabers.
Grow too aggressive, Anakin. We do not need to fight them. We just need to hold them off long enough to get you all out.
She comes.
You trust me? I trust her. Get her the ladder.
What else are you gonna do besides watch her?
I have to go.
Was this the communication from the parents? Yeah.
No communication, but he's learned of the children. I pray you're safe.
Gave everything away in that message.
Right.
There were 4 families, and I couldn't do anything to help them. But you can fight to make them better.
You knew who Vader was. Vader would have kept that hidden. Unless you were there.
It doesn't matter where I was.
The night of Order 66, you were a youngling. Anakin killed the others.
That's enough.
He killed the other younglings,
Enough.
but somehow you...
Enough!
Oh! Finally get to see it.
You're hunting him. Let me help you.
Why would I ever trust you?
Because we want the same.
Why didn't you stop him? Why didn't you save us?
Yeah, she's got it in for Obi-Wan too.
What I've done alone.
So much for their siege.
Right. Nice.
This is where they really have a problem with consistencies like that, man. I will say the entire Disney Star Wars has had these problems, like, why didn't she just do that first?
Right. They've been, since they own the property, they've been bad about following its own established logic.
That's too many stormtroopers even for Han.
Yeah. It's...
Ah, we gotta hurry! Are you listening to me?
She's gonna shoot the... Yeah. Again, why not throw that into the bottleneck?
Throw that at them.
Yeah.
Well, you have to press the button for it to explode. It's only good for suicide.
There we go. That solves that.
Or people.
Tell her to stand down.
My lord.
it's easy to say like that stuff's nitpicking, but like, remember the big droid and Boba Fett, and they're all shooting the shield over and over and over. It's like it really hurts the immersion when you're like they feel like they're stupid,
right?
You know.
He expects me to surrender. He knows I'll do everything I can to protect these people.
That was the theme early on.
You'll be on your own.
Well, he now knows that that Reva, his plan is probably to try to convince, her to act upon it.
You're not bringing him to me. I'm bringing him to you.
So yeah.
This isn't over yet. Are you gonna let him do it again? What he did to you. We could end this together because all he'll see is me.
Right. He's so obsessed.
Yeah, he's not the most brilliant when he's so emotional.
She's thinking that through.
I don't know why he hates Obi-Wan so much. I really do. Did he want them to just leave him on as a slave?
Well, Obi-Wan's not the one that took him out.
Right.
It's Qui-Gon.
I guess he thinks the Jedi were too weak to stop.
Yeah, when somebody's wrong, they
from dying.
don't critique themselves. They externalize everything, and Obi-Wan was the most direct, influential.
Your weapon's gone.
Your need for victory, Anakin, it blinds you.
Doesn't seem very safe to be practicing with real lightsabers, though. It just seems like something could go wrong. Oh, the good old restraining bolt.
The whole restraining bolt, baby.
He knows Vader won't stop and think. Well, he won't use tactics. He'll just charge in.
Yeah.
And he's so powerful that he doesn't really have to most of the time.
That's why. Exactly.
I'm afraid they've made every Jedi as powerful as Vader now. Like, I mean, Leia did one of the most powerful things I've ever seen, which, I mean, she's a Skywalker, so I can accept it, but she didn't have training.
Right. Well, they did. She did, but we never saw it until they retconned it in there in the same movie.
I see. Yeah, yeah.
Like Jesus, like
in the
look
third.
at that.
That was the third. The third movie was when they did that, right?
I think so. Like that's power.
He couldn't do that to the Millennium Falcon, though. Holy shit, dude.
God, just as we were saying.
Yeah.
Well, maybe something happens in this next episode or two that makes them a little weaker, like the fight with Obi-Wan and Reva. You're breaking the illusion. Well, but yeah, they totally should have de-aged him for those scenes. He's gonna read that. He's gonna read that because he's not distracted right now.
Oh, why'd you take a swing?
You just right through him.
This is a bad idea.
Yeah. I mean, he doesn't even need a saber. He can just stop yours.
It's just, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, after seeing...
It's totally just toying with her. Oh, shit. That's cheat. That's cheat mode.
Yeah, it ain't gonna work, though. He's just gonna break it in her hands or something. Oh my god. Thank you. Now he's got two. I'll give you a chance. He actually threw it. Once again, he doesn't need it now.
I like the way he's like using a little kung fu and stuff. She gave them time to escape, though. Did.
How are you gonna get it? Nowhere to play dead around. That's pretty cool editing.
Did you really believe I did not see it, youngling?
I knew he was gonna say something.
You are of no further use.
The last youngling.
Revenge does wonders for the will to live, don't you think?
Come on, have y'all never seen a movie? You don't leave them around.
Right.
Finish the job.
Yeah, these Sith Lords never get finished off.
Oh, it's right. Duder dropped the communication. Yeah, there's the message. She's gonna now know about Luke. Just like you said, Duder sent the message.
Don't.
Owen and the boy.
not the brightest there, Bail. Bail Organa. There was no need to say any of that in a message.
No. Back on Tatooine, looking at the moisture farm.
She's probably out to get Vader as much as anything.
Right.
And the Grand Inquisitor.
Cool.
She probably doesn't want... She probably doesn't care about hurting Luke or Obi-Wan as much as getting vengeance on
Anakin,
the Sith, and the Inquisitors.
Yep.
But I mean, she is dark side, so like, you know, all her thoughts would be twisted by that, like, you know, unless she's coming back to the light, like Vader did. Which really, I mean, it's the Force is incredibly forgiving for him to like have like a 10-minute 10-minute redemption after a lifetime of murdering.
Right.
And he's suddenly back in the hanging out with Obi-Wan.
Right. Yeah. All fiction breaks down when you analyze it deeper and deeper. Like the idea that this is common amongst all fiction, to where like somebody who has an expertise or an authority and expertise in something will always end up doing something that they should know better. Like they should have knowledge of. Like for instance, you know, like Bell there saying he would know not to fucking say that stuff in a message. There'd be other ways to say things to get across the message without literally saying it, right? Like he's
right, because Obi-Wan already knows all that stuff.
Exactly.
Like I said, there was no reason.
So like in Star Trek, I'm a big Star Trek fan. Like Next Generation, you know, depending on Next Generation is episodic, so like every episode,
especially early on, it was
focused on different characters were the lead in that one specific episode. So like, you know, like Picard would have certain.
If it's not your episode, you turn into an
idiot. Like and you forget what you've already done in previous episodes. Like it happens all the time. Like Picard, you know, in a Picard episode, he's the captain, so he has, you know, general knowledge of all these different departments. But then when it's like LaForge's episode, they're talking about something almost exactly the same as in Picard's episode with engineering, but all of a sudden now Picard doesn't know that thing and acts surprised when somebody gives him the answer. You know, it's like you can't.
Insurrection, he gets his emotion chip. Data gets the emotion chip, but like we just watched 6 seasons of him learning how to have emotions. Like,
yeah, absolutely. So I think it's a problem with fiction in general, in storytelling in general, more than any one writer's failure. I think we just have a history of that, and writers don't know any better.
I think my guess is that with these, they're more focused on scene to scene. How can this be this awesome scene?
Right.
Than they are like
the logic of the
small
the
details. Like it seems really small, but what it does is undermine your belief in that character's abilities and motivations,
and your authority you carry as a storyteller. If you're going to set up the logical constraints of a universe and then willy-nilly break it, like why, as an audience member, should we care about your characters? Like why should we watch if you can just change your mind? You know,
I mean, even like in the prequels, when they cut through the door in the prequels, it's like, oh, if that was possible, that might have changed some of the scenes in the original trilogy. If we knew that they could just cut doors open with their lightsabers,
burn them down and melt them down to get through. Right?
And if you think about it, I mean, why wouldn't they be able to? But then it's like, why do they fight like they're carrying broadswords? Why did she swing at Vader instead of just turning
it on? Yeah. Well, her first mistake was her building up of emotions as she walked toward him.
Right.
If she could have remained cool and just went chink, you know, that would have been one thing.
I mean, I don't know that she ever had a chance, but I think she knew that.
Right. Well, everyone on the dark side is pretty emotionally bound, and so they can't
And
help.
he always had premonition, although he may have lost some of that ability,
Right.
supposedly. But he did have, like, it was sort of his premonitions that got him in trouble because he was trying to protect his mother.
He interpreted them incorrectly, and he got and because he let everybody else know about those premonitions, those certain people, the Emperor or Palpatine, used it against him. Used those to manipulate him. He could have even instilled them,
planting them,
right?
Yeah, the way that
I still like the idea that Palpatine created Vader in the first place, because they, Shmi says he was an immaculate conception. There was no father, and then Palpatine talks about, in context of talking to Anakin about how to save life, he talks about basically creating life, that you can do anything with the Force, even create life. So, like, to me, like, there is no Skywalkers. Everybody's a Palpatine. It really.
I mean, it was Rey and Luke would be cousins or whatever.
Right.
But yeah, in that sense, then Anakin was always doomed if that was the case, which takes away his choice at the end to defy the Emperor.
Right.
Or doesn't take away from it, but it puts it in a different light. I guess there was a comic where it alluded to that, and it certainly seems like the most, because why would the Force create him
on its own,
except for balance, I guess. Like, take out, there's too many good Jedi, we need to take them out.
But that's like, does the Force have, is it a living thing that's conscious? Because why would it need to acknowledge some kind of balance? And if it's literally defined as good and evil, why would we need less good to feel like it needs to? It doesn't make so much sense.
Almost like the Emperor's been built up into this character that's so powerful that it's almost like, if he foresaw all this and he created Vader, he would have
saw Vader betraying him.
Right. And and obviously we won't get into the mess of Palpatine in the sequels.
Yeah. But he just came back somehow.
It was explained better in the comics. He essentially floated as a Force ghost and was able to somehow, he had a cloning facility, so he was able to somehow get back to his ship or somehow, re-inhabit his clone bodies, which is sort of what they,
right.
But could have just explained it a little
better.
Well,
I think over the next, half decade or decade of Disney Star Wars shows, they're basically not retconning, but they're going to use the shows to slowly plant seeds about how Palpatine came back, ultimately. Because almost all the shows seem to be taking place in this in-between timeline before the sequels.
They really bungled those sequels, because if you read the Thrawn trilogy, I mean, there's so many good ideas. There were so many good, like, much simpler, better ways they could have gone
right
with the overall story.
But didn't they, like, is the Thrawn stuff from Disney, or is that old?
No, it's just novels.
It's old stuff that they canceled as canon. They said nothing but the original movies.
Yeah, I wouldn't want them to make the exact same story, but they could have definitely used a lot from that.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's basically just the story of the Empire coming back, and Luke is training Han and Leia's to have twins.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of Kylo Ren, you've got twins. And I believe in the next trilogy, it was a different author, Jedi Academy trilogy, and I believe the boy starts flirting with the dark side. It's been a while.
Maybe some new couple we don't know of will grow huge and buy Star Wars off Disney one day and still retcon everything Disney did. Start this mess all over again.
This actress that's playing Leia now, she'll invest her money.
Right.
Buy Star Wars someday.
Just buy it.
It's only be like $6 billion by then.
Oh, that's how much it was when Disney bought it. So It's like
No, they
five.
paid 4.
Oh, I thought it was like 5, but yeah, okay.
I think they paid Lucas 4. They might have paid more to the studios or something.
Right.
But I mean, I thought my understanding was George Lucas as an individual got $4 billion.
Right.
That's probably wrong. But
No, I thought that's what I thought. I thought it was 5. I just thought it was more. Yeah. But well,
how do you even begin with that much money? What the fuck would you do?
Mike and I can critique, but overall, I can't speak for him. But I'm still enjoying the series, even though it's inconsistencies. Like I said, I see it in everything, not just Star Wars. So it's what I've learned to get past it. I still see it though. Like you said, like why didn't Reva just walk up to the door right off the bat and cut that thing through and let him in? Well, like whatever.
It does seem like Disney thinks its audience is not very smart. It's like the things they make are sort of dumbed down in some ways.
Right.
That's probably always been the case.
It's like you realize you're making this for an audience of like 20 to 40-year-olds, not 8-year-olds. Like, standard Disney animation anyways, or kids movies. So
yeah.
But at the same time, those fucking Disney movies hardly break their own logics. There might be some goofy stuff in them, but they don't seem to break the logic like Star Wars is doing.
Yeah.
It's like these people that got work on it still don't understand. They're hired to do a job, and they're not necessarily invested in everything that came before or knowing all the little details. So they do what they think is the best they can.
I think it's also about like we're watching this now. Like if you watch the original Star Wars, I mean, in some ways their level of technology was like pretty low, like almost like medieval.
Right.
They don't really have. I mean, they have instant communication, but it doesn't seem like they use it. They're still sending holograms through a droid.
Right.
And the Empire doesn't see everything already. Like, why wouldn't they know?
Yeah, there's clearly this. Yeah, exactly. You can tell that the original logic in canon was written before the level of technology that we have today. 40, 50 years different. So it's hard to write new stuff and stick to the 1970s way of understanding technology.
Yeah. But even I mean, it could have been written as a fantasy story instead, and it still would work because it's not about technology or it's not even really about world building the same way that like Lord of the Rings or something is, because the world is basically presented to us in the first film pretty much. I mean, everything we need to know.
Right.
It's not complicated. It's just
maybe some writers think it makes it difficult to write stuff by being locked into a certain technological cage, but that could also be the source of being creative about how you resolve things, because like when Star Trek Enterprise came out, it's a prequel to all the Star Treks that came before. I think it's like the earliest one in the timeline. But point being is they decided that this was before, or basically right at when transporter technology came out. So all of the stories, they rarely use the transporter, and they even write it into the characters about how all the characters are skeptical of it because they think it's going to scramble their molecules because it's such a new technology.
They should be if you watch all the rest of the Star Trek.
Exactly. But the whole point is that for at least a season or two, basically into the third season, they rarely, I think they use the transporter twice, right?
And he invents force fields too.
Right. So it's all about like, they have to go back to using shuttles, go back and forth. They can't just transport somewhere real quick. But all that's like, technically a limitation, but it opened up so many creative opportunities to how to tell a story because they couldn't just rely on transporting somebody,
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I don't know. That speaks to the technology problem or not, but anyway, any final thoughts, Mike? We ran a little bit here. We'll wrap this up.
No, I was what I expected with Reva in terms of she was a youngling and hates Vader, but yeah, that was pretty much just like we anticipated. They weren't. I don't think they were trying to like keep it a secret.
No.
the way that story goes. So I mean, if she's still alive, yeah, how will she? There's only one episode left, right?
Well, if she has the info, is she going to try to get back on good grounds with the Inquisitors and Vader, saying I've got this information, or is she going to just act upon it herself, trying to defend Luke?
Go to
or
Tatooine because maybe try to turn Luke against. Well, Luke's a boy, but try to go there to find Obi-Wan and then confront Vader, or.
But Vader doesn't know to go there. As far as Vader's concerned, he's just trying to follow Obi-Wan. But if Obi-Wan leaves him back there, I suppose. So I'm curious to kind of confused on what ends Reva is right now, or she's going to, she's on her own.
Tatooine, except just to kill Vader's children. Just
right,
I mean,
if that's what she's
which is what he wants, though. He probably wants them dead, but yeah, it's so frustrating. I watched Revenge of the Sith again, and the dialogue is just painfully bad, and I think part of my overall disappointment with the prequels for all these years, and I did like the third one the most in terms of I left there feeling excited,
right,
but his motivations to go to the dark side are very poorly explored.
Right. As far as the prequels goes,
it's not the actor's fault,
right?
But a more mature actor with a real direction and dialogue,
right,
might have. But like, I wish it had been more about power. We get a hint of that. It's about he wants the power to make the world the way he wants it to be and to bring Padme back, and he's scared of losing people, and that's why. But it's very like sudden. It's like his allegiance. It's they try to build it up a little bit, but the way it plays in the movie is like, oh, you didn't make me a Jedi Master. Now I'm going to kill everybody. Right. And it's just sort of weak, I don't know where I was going with that, but this did feel like Star Wars Theory was saying in that, I think the third episode when he's going through the town and killing people, it really did feel more like Anakin from the prequels doing that, just because of all the context we have behind it.
Right.
So, I mean,
supposedly the Clone Wars fills out a lot of that, what seems to be missing from the prequels as far as his motivation and what's happened to him and everything.
Right.
Once again,
I'm on the second season now, and the second season's definitely been better written, or a little more.
Right. Cool.
But that's pretty good.
Cool. Well, Mike, I appreciate it. Let's wrap this up. I'm looking forward to the finale and what's going to happen. There's a lot of loose ends to tie up here. It was just one more episode. I think six episodes. I think that's what they said. So, yeah, let's see what happens.
Maybe Luke will fly his T-16. I guess he doesn't have one yet.
Right. She a womp rat that's not much bigger than 2 meters.
I mean, hopefully he'll just be unaware of all this crazy stuff going on around him.
Right.
But I mean, she's gonna go find Owen because she knew who that was.
Right. She remember threatening Owen.
Of all the people on the whole planet.
Right. It happens to go to that one town. But awesome,
Remember,
Mike.
she has a mind reading too.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Too bad she didn't do it to him at that moment in the streets there. She would have got ahead of the game.
You think Vader, both those guys were left for dead and then came back, so you think both of them would realize, like, maybe she's not dead. Maybe we should cut her head off or force choke her.
Something. I don't know. Seems like when you stab a force wielding user in the stomach, it doesn't finish them off.
Plus, you just, instead of pulling it straight out, just whip around a little bit.
Just like the game. And then force push. You're right. And they all fly apart. Done. All right. Awesome, Mike. Thank you. Thank you all for joining us. Hit that like button if you like this. Subscribe if you're not already. Come back for more. And if you're interested in full length reactions to this or anything else we've done, you can check the link to Patreon down in the description below. We'll catch you all in the finale of Obi-Wan Kenobi. Peace.